To have Emma here today. Emma and I have known each other since kindergarten, which is pretty
So
amazing.
wild.
Yeah, God, I still remember us as little babies. So weird.
Just little babies together. I know. But I love too that like we've known each other for so long, but the universe like connects you when you need that person. You know what I mean? Like it
Exactly.
reconnects you and just like, it's so wild how that happens.
It really is. And so Emma and I were reconnected 2 weeks ago through friends and our parents, but mostly because I found out that Emma also did one of the meditation courses that I've been doing. And immediately I was like, "Oh my God, I need to talk to her about this." I needed I it's really hard to find people who have that kind of stuff in common and those similar interests. And that was all I needed to hear. I was like, "I need to talk to Emma right now." So I reached out
Totally.
and we had a great conversation. And I found out that Emma does human design readings, um, which is what we're going to focus on tonight because it's something that I know very little about.
Yes.
So before we start the reading, I'd love for you to sort of
Yeah.
introduce yourself, tell everyone about your business and how you got into human design.
Yeah. So like Amanda said, we're gonna do a live reading tonight, which I've never done like on air. So it's gonna be really fun. And I hope that you and whoever is watching is gonna get a lot out of it because I think human design is so great for just like giving yourself a permission slip to be you. So we'll get into in just a moment. But a little bit about me. Let's see. So my name is Emma. I am currently in Atlanta, although I grew up in San Francisco with Amanda. Um, my journey to coaching kind of found me in a sense. Like I definitely was in the corporate world for however many years, and I started just feeling really burnt out and feeling like I wasn't really aligned with what I was meant to be doing. And it was a few years ago that I was like, hold on a second. Like everyone comes to me for advice or like they're in a crisis situation. They're like, Emma, what should I do? Like, what do I do with my life? And I started realizing like, okay, maybe my path is in helping people and, holding space for people to learn that it's okay to be you and to get really clear on like what you want to do and how to do it. So that's kind of like what led me to my coaching path, which is what I do now. I also still work in consulting. So I kind of, am mentoring and coaching people in both worlds, which is super fun. And then actually, right when the pandemic hit is when I found human design. I have been studying it for a little over a year now, but I feel kind of like human design also has to find you. Like, unless you're ready to learn about it or hear about it, like, it's not going to make sense. You're going to be like, what is this weird chart with all these like weird designs? Like, I don't want to look at it, right? Like, it has to kind of find you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I basically like found a group that was teaching it and got certified in it and just like dove like all the way in because I found it so fascinating and I found it to be like a very good strategy to add to my coaching toolkit to help people kind of just like learn more about themselves on like an energetic level, right? Like we've all heard of birth charts and astrology and all of that. This is kind of like that on steroids and mixes in like energy in your blueprint. So it's
Wow.
pretty wild.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Any
gosh.
questions, Amanda, that I should answer? Like, what do you think of that?
How long does it take to be able to give human design readings? Like, I'm sure it's an ongoing process, but how long did you study it before you were
Yeah.
ready to start doing readings for other people?
Yeah. So it's funny because I kind of learned about it on my own and I got trained later when I was like, okay, I really like see the value of like diving in because you can definitely do the basics like pretty early on. Like I would say maybe like 3 to 6 months of just like learning about it, integrating it into your life. Like you could probably start doing basic readings. But then when you get into like all the like, and I don't, people can Google it, like you can Google human design charts as we're talking, but there's tons of like lines and colors and numbers and planets. And so to do all of that, it probably took me a good like 6 months of intensive training of like meeting with a group, doing, practice sessions, learning from a teacher, like doing all of that to
Wow.
be confident enough to give people the right information. So it definitely is a commitment,
Yeah.
but you're kind of like learning about yourself along the way. So you don't really feel that way necessarily.
Yeah. Do you find that when you read people's charts, are they always interesting and surprising and different, or do they tend to be like similar or consistent? I don't even know what to expect.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great question. So there's five main types, which we're going to get into. So those are pretty much the same, but then your chart is going to be like very unique to you, almost like it speaks to your soul and no one else's. So like you may have, they're called like gates that like connect the different centers. Like your gates are going to be different. Your life purpose is going to be different. The way that you kind of like achieve your life purpose is going to be different. So I would say, like the most fun part about the reading is having your client be like, whoa, like this is so resonant with me. Or like, whoa, I didn't realize that like that was okay to move through the world in this way. It's going to be like cathartic in a sense of like, wow, I can actually just be me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, let's do it. Chat, if
Yes.
you have questions, throw them in the chat. I will make sure they get asked and answered, so don't hesitate to ask questions. But yeah, let's do this. I'm excited. How do we begin?
Let's do it. Okay, so I like because I'm like so not techie, like I have my other computer here with your chart unpack. So maybe I can do this actually. Like let me just show you in the screen like what your chart looks like and then we can just talk because like this is confusing. Can you see this?
Yes. Wow.
Like
Okay.
that is overwhelming. Right? Like what are all of the colors? What are all of the like weird things going on? Like I find that it can be overwhelming to like show this instead of just like talking through like what's going on in your chart.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't know how to read that, so talking through is definitely the best option.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And again, like I'll send this to you so you have it. And then like if anyone watching is like, ooh, like where do I go? Basically, there's a free site that you can enter in your own information. But then like being able to read it and decode it is like where I come in. Cause you can try and do a Google search, but you're gonna get like really confused, you know?
Yeah. Wait, I have one other
Cool.
question. Sorry. Why did
Yeah.
you
Ask
why did you
away.
why did you pick human design over astrology?
Yeah. You know, I think it's a resonance thing. Like, I think I have always liked astrology, but I've never wanted to read or unpack an astrological chart. Like, it's never been, and now learning my human design, I know that like I do this because I make like decisions in the moment. I'm like, this feels good or that. So, astrology has never been something that has necessarily spoken to me in the sense that I want to offer it to people. But when I found out about human design, I was like, okay, there's some strategy here that I feel like people could really benefit from. And almost like it's almost like human design was more logical and scientific to me in a way. I don't know, but I love astrology. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's get started. I'll stop asking questions for now.
Okay. No, please interrupt me at any time. Like this is going to be very interactive. And Amanda, I just want you to know, like, this is your safe space. Like if something comes up or you're like, I want to dig into that, like we're going to pause and just like go with what comes up because that's part of the beauty.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so also just to give everyone like I don't even know if I said this, but essentially like human design, like Amanda said, you know, astrology is kind of related in this. It combines your birth chart with other ancient sciences to basically show you like an energetic blueprint of how you're meant to move through the world like in the most ease. Like imagine your life with like no stress, easy, flowing, fun. Like that's what the strategy that you're going to learn is going to do for you. And I think the other point to make really clear too is like some people are like, you have to like, you know, look into every part of your chart and like make sure it resonates with you. But I personally like to teach it in a sense of like take what resonates and then just like discard the rest. Like we don't need to worry about it if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And again, interrupt me, stop me, questions. If anyone has questions, like we'll handle them.
Okay.
Awesome. So the first thing that we're going to go over is your type. And there's 5 different types in human design. So think of this as like your zodiac sign, right? Like everyone has like a type. You've got characteristics of the type. So your type is the generator. And have you heard about any of the types, Amanda? Like, or do you know anything about it or nothing?
Well, only because I talked to Lauren Case earlier today, and she told me that she's a
Mm.
generator too. So that's literally the only
Oh
one
my
I've
God,
heard.
amazing.
She didn't tell me what it means, but she did say I'm a generator, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'll ask about that.
Amazing. So you're a generator too, and it could be fun to talk to Lauren about like what similarities do you have? Like where do you differ as generators? Because even though you're a generator and she is as well, like you'll have different characteristics or different like quirks that you prefer in a
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm. Cool. She's an
Cool.
Aries also,
So
so maybe that's why. I don't know.
that's amazing. I love that. Well, it does depend on like your birth time, your location. And think of it this way too. Like your soul chose this design. Like whatever your design is, like there's no right or wrong, good or bad. Like your soul said, like, this is what I want you to focus on in this lifetime. Like, here you go. Here's your design.
Cool.
Cool. So the first thing to know about a generator is like you have, and tell me if this resonates for you, you have like a really warm and welcoming aura. So you might notice like throughout your life, people have been really drawn to you. People may have called you like a magnet, and like people are just really like wanting to be in your space. Does that resonate with you?
Definitely. Yeah. I like to think so.
Cool. Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, some like there's some types that don't have that welcoming aura and they will feel very like isolated from the world because they're like, why am I repelling people? But it's like part of their design. But
Mhm.
your design is like meant to attract people and it's very like warm. And when you're in alignment, you attract more people and more opportunities. So like the key for
Yeah.
you to know is as a generator, the more that you can like be in your own magic, that's when things are really going to happen for you.
Love that. My friend Fernando that's watching says can confirm. Thanks, Fern.
Yes. I love it, Fernando. I love it. Please confirm or deny
Yeah,
everything that I share about
please.
Amanda. I love it. This is so cool too because you can like look at your friends' charts and be like, "Oh, that's why you act that way," or like that's why
Yeah.
you make decisions in that way, right? Like it's a tool for like understanding yourself and other people, which I love.
So cool.
Cool. So the other super important thing that I want you to like feel really confident doing in the world is like you are meant to do things that you love. Like your life is meant to be made up of only things that light you up and that you love. And you're literally just supposed to say no to everything else that makes you feel small or, unhappy or anything that makes you feel drained. Like you're just supposed to say no to it. How does that feel thinking about that?
It's interesting because I think I'm good at putting myself first and making decisions that are right for
Mhm.
me. Um,
Yeah.
but some decisions are harder where there's like a positive and a negative. Like I might like one aspect and not like another. So I think in those situations it's harder
Hmm.
to know what's going to be the right decision for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you notice that you'll feel a certain way when you're faced with those kind of decisions? Like, does anxiety come up or like what comes up?
Um I really try to listen to my gut. And follow what feels right. And follow what I think will take me uh to where I want to go long term. Also, Leah is here and
Hmm.
said that she made an account so she can comment.
Yes,
And
Leah.
my mom is also here and says, "Hi Emma, so great to see you."
I love it. Hi, Belinda. So good to have you here. This is like warming my heart. What a reunion.
So fun.
That's amazing. Okay, well, your mom and Leah can definitely confirm some of this then as we go through it. That'll be so
Yeah.
fun for you.
Yeah. I know.
I
This is
love it.
exciting.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. So a few other things about your type and then we're going to like keep diving in. But
Okay.
essentially, so you're meant to like be on this planet to do what you love. You have a lot of life force energy. So it's also really important for you to like use up your energy every day. Like don't go to bed restless because you like won't sleep. Like does that resonate with you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So make sure whether it's like physically using up your energy or just like mentally doing something that you love each day, make sure that you like use up that energy or it'll just be like you'll be like bouncing around all night.
Okay. Okay. Very good to know.
Cool. Yeah, good to know. Good tips, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. And then the other thing too that's really important about generators is like you may want to like jump ahead, know the outcome, or like know what comes next, or know how it's going to come next. Which you're telling me now that that resonates. The thing that you are meant to do is like you're designed for the process, so you're not meant to like jump to the outcome. You're
Yeah.
meant to like figure out the outcome along the way. How does that feel?
I don't, it does not feel natural. I am the queen of
Hmm.
jumping, like reading the synopsis before I watch the movie, like reading the last page of the book,
Hmm.
and like, oh my gosh, it's really hard for me to not worry about the
Yeah.
future. Um, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean that it's hard for me? If it's supposed to be, does it mean I'm supposed to be good at that? Like
Well,
not
tell me this, like when you're worrying about the future, how do you feel when you worry about the future? Because that'll key us into like, are you in alignment? Like, do you feel excited? Do you feel overwhelmed, frustrated? Like, how do you feel when you're like living in future self?
I feel a sense of longing.
Hmm.
But it's also
Yeah.
it's hard to say. I think I'm just at a time in my life where things are up in the air, and maybe I won't feel that once
Mhm.
I get those things. It might just be
Yeah.
situational right now. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, part of the cool thing about human design is you're going to learn, and we're going to unpack it some if we get there, like how you best make decisions or like how do you respond to things. So even though, like I've just told you, like you're meant to enjoy the process, like there's going to be the how in this unpack. So you're not just like
Great.
scrambling of like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that?
Great. I would love a how. I'm working on it. Like this is
Yeah.
literally what I'm actively working on and most on my mind.
Yeah. I love that. And it's funny too, like you'll notice this as we do human design. Like there's going to be a lot of either societal conditioning or things that maybe you've repeated in your head or it's like your subconscious programming that's going to come up and you're going to be like, maybe I don't need to say that anymore. Or maybe I don't need to move through the way or move through the world in this way anymore. So it's going to be interesting because now that you know, it's like you can't unknow almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I like knowing that because it will help me focus on
Yeah.
enjoying the process.
Yes. And again, like as a generator, your full goal in life is enjoyment, whether that's in what you eat, who you spend your time with, what job you take. Like this could actually help you with your job process, right? Like
Yeah.
making sure that in your gut, you feel really good about it because your intuition's not going to lie. So if you don't feel good and you take the job, it's probably not going to go, it's going to go exactly how you think, right? Like you want
Yeah.
to pick things that resonate with you.
Totally. Ugh, I love that. Also, Kathy Carey is in
Cool.
the building. Hi, Kathy.
Look at all these people. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh, I feel so honored, all of us together.
I know. This is so
It's
fun.
incredible. Ask questions if you have them. I'm sure, like, as I'm speaking, you're going to be like, oh, that sounds like Amanda, or like, whoa, that's a cool thing for her to learn. So chime in if you hear anything, as I'm saying it. I love
Love.
that.
Yay.
Awesome. Okay. So, Amanda, any questions about being a generator, what that means? I mean, we could spend like hours on this, but I don't want to like take up too much time just on your type unless you have like other burning questions.
No, no.
Does
Let's
anything
go on
come
to
to
the next
mind? Otherwise, we
question.
can keep going.
Yeah, let's keep
Okay,
going.
cool. Cool. So the next part that I like to unpack is something called the not self theme. So you have your type, which is like the way you're meant to live. And then your not self theme is essentially like whenever you start making fear based decisions or whenever you start letting like your ego lead the way instead of like leading from your heart or your intuition.
Mhm.
Cool. So every type has a not self theme, and your theme is frustration. And essentially, what that means is when you're out of alignment, you might feel like a deep, energetic frustration of like, ugh, like, why isn't this working? Or like, I feel drained. Like, does that resonate with you at all?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely have used the word frustrated to describe how I
Yeah.
feel sometimes.
Totally. And can like if you were to think back, like are there times where you're more frustrated versus others? Like is it when you're doing things that you hate? Like what comes up when you think of like when you're frustrated?
um I think impatience is something that I struggle with. I think
Hmm.
that's probably, if I could change anything about myself, it would be to be more patient. So that probably
Yeah.
causes frustration.
Totally. Well, I wonder too if you could start using your impatience as like a signal of like, I'm out of alignment. Let me like drop this. Right? Like
Yes.
using it as like a key of like, okay, I need to get back in alignment. Like I'm clearly not right now.
Yeah. When you say alignment, it makes me think of chakras. But what, I just want to make sure, like, what type
Yeah.
of alignment are you referring to?
Yeah. So when I say alignment, I'm thinking in terms of like alignment with how your type is supposed to be. So doing what you love versus like saying yes to everything that doesn't light you up. Right. So when you think of alignment, I mean, look, the term is very broad. We could talk about chakras, we could talk about, an energetic alignment, but this is more of just like, how am I supposed to be moving through the world? Am I kind of living through my type? And then some other things that we're going to unpack. And if not, how can I get back into being easy and flowing instead of like, frustrated.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, cool. And the other thing too, and I'm a manifesting generator, so I'm part your type and then part another type. So my theme is also frustration, and I would notice this too. So like when I was younger, I feel like I was conditioned not to quit things or like see it through till the end or like keep going, like finish this stuff, like you committed. But I just want you to know and to validate if this feels resonant to you that you are like allowed to quit. You're allowed to pivot, you're allowed to quit. And like being a quitter may have been like put on you by society, but you're meant to kind of like move around depending on what you love. And that could change by the day.
I've definitely done that with my career.
I love that.
I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to quit if I don't like it.
Good. Well, a lot of people are afraid, right? Like it's scary
Yeah.
to be like, oh my gosh, I've devoted, X amount of years to this career path. How could I possibly just pivot or any situation in life, right? So I love
Yeah.
hearing that like you're not afraid to quit. That is really in alignment for you.
Yay. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So like think of this as like normalizing pivoting, normalizing like saying no and normalizing changing your mind. Like you're basically
Yeah.
supposed to change your mind. Otherwise you're going to feel like so tired and you're not going to
Yeah.
feel good about your life.
Yeah. I definitely feel in alignment with all of those things. I'm glad I found that naturally.
Cool. Yeah. And it's fun too unpacking this because some things you're going to be like, I already do that now. Like I'll keep doing it. And other things you're going to be like, okay, I'm ready to get rid of this. Like let's replace it.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Cool. Yeah. So, and again, like part of it'll be societal conditioning, part of it'll be your own like tape player in your head. But it's just good to, like, I think of this as like, okay, you're giving yourself this strategy. Now you get to decide how you want to implement it into your life.
Yeah. Yes. That makes sense. I love
Cool.
that.
Okay. Awesome. And then the other thing to note too, like when you get frustrated or when you start to, like, now that I've told you this, you're going to be like, oh, I'm frustrated. Like, I need to put this down. My advice to you is literally just like get back in the present moment, drop
Yeah.
whatever you're doing that's making you frustrated, and then like come back to it when you're refreshed.
Definitely. That's very good advice. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah, that's the advice for your not self theme. Any like questions, thoughts, anything that comes up for frustration before we keep going?
No, let's keep going.
Cool. Okay. How are you feeling so far? Interesting
Great.
stuff?
Yeah. Fernando said
Cool.
maybe there's too much societal pressure that not quitting is the right thing to do. Yeah,
Totally.
definitely.
Yes.
But I definitely, have always put my emotions first and made those hard decisions. You know,
Hmm.
it's and it's always worked out to my benefit. So,
I love that. I love that. And whenever you're feeling frustrated or like overwhelmed, remind yourself of that. Like it
yeah.
always works out if you can just lean back and trust it and go with what works for you. Because just because not quitting works for someone else doesn't mean that's your path in life or what you should
Yeah,
be doing, right? Like you know best.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to unpack is called your strategy. And this is essentially like how you interact energetically with others and with the universe. So think of this as like your strategy to kind of move through the world. So every type, again, has a different strategy. Yours is called response, or like your strategy is to respond. And essentially what that means, and when I tell people this, they're sometimes you might feel like disappointed by this, but I actually think it's really cool. Essentially, like what that means is you're not supposed to initiate or force things in life. You're literally just supposed to like lean back and let choices come to you. And then you get to say yes or no, kind of like a conveyor belt of options. You just get to like
Yeah.
pick yes or no and move through your life in that way.
I've been told this before. My astrologer told me the same thing, so it's interesting. Thank you,
Awesome.
X-Factor.
Yeah.
Give a sub. Thank you. Love you. Okay, sorry. Um, but yeah,
No,
that's
you're
really
fine.
interesting. That's really wait, it's called what is it
Mhm.
called? The conveyor? Oh no, the responder.
Yeah. So your strategy is to respond. Like you're meant to respond to things in life. Other types are meant to initiate. Another type is meant to like wait for the invitation. So like yours is literally just to respond. And a
Yeah.
response could be like me asking you a question. It could be kind of thinking about like what sounds good to eat to you and kind of responding in a feel good way. Like a response can be a lot of things. It could even be like anything, think of it this way, like anything that's external of you is fair game for a response from you. It's just not something internally that you force or create on your own in a vacuum. Like you need outside
Yeah.
forces to respond to.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, tell me this, like, do you feel like you're already doing that in your life now? Or do you feel like that's something that you would like to move to?
No, I'm definitely doing that.
That's amazing. I mean, Amanda, that's honestly amazing because a lot of generators won't act that way. They'll want to like force things or initiate them or like move through life in that way. But it sounds like you're already responding and it's working for you.
Yeah, I think working with artists, um, and working as a
Hmm.
producer has really enabled me to do that with ease, because I like
Love that.
responding to artists, I like supporting them
Hmm.
and basing my work around enabling other people. Um, you know, I'm not writing the song, I'm the one getting that song out there, and like that is the response.
Hmm. Totally. It's interesting that you say that too, because I think as you continue to develop your own intuition, that is going to make it like that much easier for you to respond and trust your response in the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I get a feeling when it's something that I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And I love
Beautiful.
feeling that. And oh yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's shout out to the
And tell me more
universe.
about that feeling. Yes, no, for sure. I mean, it's all like we're all interconnected here. So I love that you're like having these moments as we do this.
An example of the feeling today.
Yeah.
I got some good news this morning, and I took my dog on a walk
Hmm.
to run an errand. I had to get a birthday gift for a
Hmm.
friend. And do you remember Toy Boat, the ice cream shop in San Francisco?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So I was walking by Toy Boat, and I was like, I
Uh-huh.
really shouldn't spend money getting a sandwich or cookie. Like I don't need that. But I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Like I kind of feel like ice cream. Like I'm just gonna look at it. I was curious what kind of ice
Hmm.
cream they had. So I don't even go up
Yeah.
to the counter. I just go up to the ice cream part, and I'm just looking at what they have in the containers. And someone working at the store comes up to me and is like, "Hey, we're giving out free scoops of ice cream today because it's our 10-year anniversary.
Yes.
Like, would you like one?" And I was
I
like,
love it.
I almost didn't even come in here, and I couldn't even eat the ice cream because I don't didn't have my lactate pills, and I literally got the free ice cream. It was
Oh,
crazy. It was just one of those moments where I was like, "I see you,
I love
universe.
that.
Thank you." Like, yeah, it was crazy.
I love that example because now you can think about like, well, what if your life was all moments like that?
It
Like, why couldn't it
is.
be?
It is. It totally is.
It's
That
amazing.
yeah, I
I
do
love
try
that.
to see life that way. And yeah, it was just like
Hmm.
a crazy moment of validation. But that could be like a
Hmm.
butterfly, or like the sunset. It doesn't have to be that tangible. That was like wild. I don't normally have things like that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because start having more of those moments as you kind of take some of these strategies in, or again, as you keep strengthening your own intuition or anything in the energy world, like those moments are going to get stronger and weirder. You're going to be like, did this really just happen to me? Is this real? And it
Totally.
is.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
more I
And I
practice
think too,
gratitude,
like,
the more it
yeah,
is.
gratitude's huge. That's like the frequency that you want to be at to
Yeah.
have anything good happen in your life. So that's awesome. You're kind of like a step ahead of most people who unpack these charts and aren't there yet necessarily with their intuition or having gratitude or things like that. So I think that's going to be a benefit to you
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Definitely.
Amazing. And I wonder too, like it could be fun for you to think about like what is it about you that says yes? Like is it an emotional response? Is it like some people make a noise, they're like, ooh, versus like, I hate that, right? Like it's like a response that you have. Like, what is your like yes response? Do you know? Can you think about it?
It's definitely a surge of energy and excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that I actually channel that a lot through music.
I love
Um,
that.
a lot of the music
Mm-hmm.
that I listen to, it's actually like a way for me to release a lot of that energy because I have so much of it. Like, I'm a very
Mm-hmm.
positive, like, easily excited person. So I'm actually
Yeah.
kind of constantly battling that and like grounding myself
Yeah.
so that
Beautiful.
that doesn't control me. It's not a bad thing to have,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to stay stay calm and clear, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's really cool that you have such a strong reaction because that means you are kind of picking things that excite you. Because that, like, think of it this way, generators are the life force of this earth. So without you doing things you love, like, the earth can't function because not every type is an energetic, like, producing energy type. So,
Mhm.
like, we need you to do what you love. Like, we need you in this space. Don't change.
Wow. Cool. I want to look up the other types
Yeah.
after because now I'm curious like what the other ones are.
Yeah. I mean, we can do like, if people are curious, like we can do a type debrief. Like I can, explain
Oh,
all of them. So if you think that'd be helpful, we can totally do that.
let's do that at the end because I'm definitely curious.
Perfect. Cool. Awesome. Also, is there like a time limit? Like, I don't want to like keep doing this and
No,
you be like, I'm tired. Like, do you have a limit of anything?
no,
Okay.
we've been
Cool.
going for half an hour, so I mean,
Perfect.
take
I
your
love that.
time, whatever you want.
You're like, give me more info. Let's hear the strategy. I love it. Okay, before we move on, I just have one last kind of note on your strategy to respond.
Okay.
You may already be good at doing this, but in case this ever creeps up, like you may find yourself getting asked to do a lot of things or getting a lot of opportunities to respond to.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily have to say yes to all of them because then you're going to fill your plate of things that you're like not super excited about and that kind of like confuses the universe. This is just a note of like
Yeah.
be cautious not to say yes to everything. Like just because you can say yes to everything or have the energy
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you need to or have to live that way.
Definitely. Definitely. I think I'm
Cool.
okay with that too. I'm
Cool.
good with that.
Great. No, that's amazing. But some, again, like, and I'm hoping that people who are listening to this, they might look up their type and be like, I'm a generator too. And then they'll like have that mental note of like,
Yes.
oh man, do I say no? Do I say yes to things that I shouldn't be?
Yeah. I mean, at one point, I definitely was that. Luckily, I have
Yeah.
woken up. But yeah,
Mhm.
I did
It's
used to make
incredible.
those mistakes for sure.
It's awesome. Awesome. Okay. So the next part of your unpack is called authority. And this is essentially like how you make decisions in the world, which I find really helpful because we got to make lots of decisions in life. You might as well know like how to make decisions in the easiest way for you.
Yeah.
And again, so every type has like a different kind of authority. Yours is called emotional. And all that means is that you have consistent and defined energy in your solar plexus in your human design chart, which again, we can look at again. There's different centers that are colored or white. If it's colored, that means you've got consistent energy there. So
Wait, so
what
I
that
have
means is
consistent
like you
energy in my
may,
solar plexus? Okay.
yes. And what that means is you are like, do you ever feel like you're riding like an emotional wave in life? Does that feel resonant to you?
What do you mean specifically?
Like, do you ever feel like one moment is amazing and then one moment's like, what's happening? And you're like going through like emotions a lot?
I think I used to feel like that. Yeah. Not as much
Okay,
anymore.
cool. Cool. No, that's, I mean, again, you just may be living in a lot of alignment. So you may not feel like the super highs or the super lows as you're thinking about this.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be
Cool.
pretty big to shake me.
That's awesome. That means you're like grounded in yourself. That's incredible.
Yes. Shout
I
out to
love it.
grounding. We need
Um,
grounding.
yes, you got to have some grounding. If people on this call don't know what that is, you need to talk to Amanda and get yourself some grounding. It's important.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, tell me this. Like, how do you normally make decisions in life? Like, is it a process? Is it immediate? Like, how do you make decisions in your life normally?
I'm pretty um I'm naturally impulsive, but I am working
Mm-hmm.
on it. So, now
Yeah.
when a big decision comes up, I'm impulsive because I get easily excited. Um, but,
Mm-hmm.
I have spent a lot of time working on that, and now I wait. I know that that excitement wears off, so I
It's awesome.
see how I feel about it and then make a decision. But I don't
Yeah.
have a hard time making decisions. Like, usually, I trust my gut, and
Cool.
usually my gut impulse is right.
That's awesome. And I love that you kind of said impulsive because you're like the emotional authority is actually meant to like sleep on it. So instead of making decisions like right now in the moment, the second you hear on it, try this, right? Like if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, but try like if someone asks you for a decision, like I always recommend saying like I need a night to sleep on it. I'll let you know, tomorrow or the next day. And when you feel almost like a neutrality, and you can imagine yourself feeling excited for the decision, that's when you know it's a yes almost. Like you need a second just to like calibrate.
Interesting. So my chart says that I should
Mm-hmm.
sleep on it. That's the recommendation, to be in alignment.
So don't make decisions in the moment. Sleep on it for a night. And then when you feel like neutral about it and you've kind of like processed the up and downs of it, then you can clearly make your decision. How does that feel thinking about doing it that way, maybe?
I mean, that makes total sense, but like, does anyone's chart tell them to make impulse decisions? Because I feel like that's just a bad idea in general.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are supposed to do that.
Well, so I'm supposed to do that actually. I'm supposed to be like, yes, no, like in the moment. And the thing, and I've always done this in my life. So, like you, when I learned this about my chart, I was like, oh, I do make decisions in the moment. And if I wait, it doesn't help me. Like, it makes me frustrated to wait. Like, I know, because I have a sacral authority. So that means like I have,
Hmm.
consistent energy in my sacral. So I have to be like, my power is in the present. Your power isn't necessarily in the present. And a lot of people who have emotional authority they feel like overwhelmed by it because they're like, well, how am I ever going to know for sure that it's right for me?
Interesting. Okay, so I know that
Mm-hmm.
your sacral chakra is emotions and like sexuality, sensuality. Solar plexus, that's like your energy center for survival. So,
Yeah.
what does it mean if that is where my energy is centered?
Think of your solar plexus as like your personal power. And again, the other thing too to note is human design doesn't go by the exact chakras. Like it's not all the seven chakras and they don't all
Oh,
mean
okay.
the same thing.
Okay.
So in the human design chart, so like if you think about the seven chakras, solar plexus is like personal power. Like if you're having trouble with confidence, you would look there. But
Hmm.
in human design, that's like where your emotions lie. So being really in touch with like all of the emotions you have, riding the wave of whatever, comes your way. And again, like taking the time to sleep on it because you're not meant to make impulse decisions. And again, like I can tell you all of this and you can be like, you know what, Emma, I like making impulse decisions and that works for
No,
you.
no,
Like,
I
great.
don't.
Like I want you to do what works for you. Yeah.
I don't.
So this is a great example. That's perfect. Like this is a perfect example of like where you can start to play with your chart, right? Like
Yeah.
integrate it into your life. Like maybe when you get another job offer, hopefully soon, you can say, hey, I need 2 days of sleep on it and I will let you know, right? Like I make my best decisions in this way and really setting a boundary for yourself around that.
Yeah. So interesting. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a sure thing.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that a lot of this is really validating for you that like you don't need to change anything about yourself. You just need to lean further into it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like when you first do an unpack, you might feel like, whoa, this is a lot of information. So you need to like let your body integrate it. So don't worry if some of this is like, I don't remember this, or you're not like retaining it all because you just need to like sit with it, right? It's going to
Yeah.
take some time.
Yeah, definitely. Got to digest it all.
Cool. Yeah, you got to digest, let it like, integrate into your body. So like, and I'll send you this. Like I have a little like thing that I make for people. So I'll send you this and you'll like have the notes that I'm talking about. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Got it all. You gotta have something to take away. Otherwise,
I mean,
how
we'll
can you
have the
remember it all?
recording too to live on forever.
Perfect. I love that. You can always refer back when you're like, what did she say about this? What kind of authority do I have?
Exactly.
I love it.
Yes.
So I just want to pause here because that's the basics of the chart. And then there's a ton of other avenues we could go. I don't know if you want to do it on this call. People might be like, hey, I have questions, or like, can you answer? Like, I don't know if you want to learn more, if you want to pause and do the 5 types. Like, it's totally up to you
Yeah.
how much or how deep you want to go tonight.
Chat, if any of you have questions for Emma, now is a great time to ask. Any questions about human design?
Yeah, ask away.
She's also an amazing life
Or
coach.
anything really,
Yeah,
energy, whatever you have.
ask your questions. I'd love to go through the 5 types. I'm super curious.
Yeah, let's do that. I think that would be really fun for everyone because then people can like go unpack their own chart. And the other fun thing too, I may have mentioned this to you, like you can overlay charts. Like let's say like your mom and you wanted to overlay a chart, you can see like how your unique energy essence combines or like where you might have challenge areas or like where you guys excel. So it's really fun to like use this as a tool for like all the relationships in your life
That's
to like
awesome.
better understand how people move with you.
Love that.
Yeah, cool. So the 5 types. So generator we've covered obviously with Amanda, our wonderful live, unpack tonight. Yes, I love it. The next type is called a manifesting generator, which is essentially a hybrid type of generator, which is your type, and manifester, which is another type. So, and I'm a man gen, so you can see if this like resonates like in the way that I am. But essentially, a man gen is kind of like that person where you're like, I don't really know what they're doing or how they're doing it. They kind of seem a little bit like all over the place, but they like show me a new way of doing things. That's kind of like the man gen type of like, I'm breaking rules, I'm skipping around, I'm pivoting like you, but I'm also like making decisions in the moment and like I have like 25 tabs open. I'm like the person with like 15 computer tabs open at all times because I have like so many different interests.
I love that. That's. I'm definitely not that
Yeah.
person, so I see the difference.
No, you're not meant to be. You are meant to be like focused on one thing, move to the next. I'm like doing cartwheels and like singing a song at the same time. Like I'm all over the
Wow.
place.
Wow.
So that's the second type that kind of combines generator and manifester.
Okay.
Manifester is the type, so like we're meant to respond to things in life. Manifestors are meant to initiate. So if you're a manifester, like you're meant to kind of like, I don't want to say repel people because that sounds wrong, but you're meant to like cut through. Like you're not meant to be this like warm, welcoming, feel good aura. You're meant to like be cutting edge and innovate and like push us forward in society. So I always think of Elon Musk. He's also a man gen though, so it doesn't really like it kind of helps, but like how he kind of like is cutting edge and initiates and
Yeah.
moves things forward.
Totally.
So a man gen can kind of like straddle both worlds in a sense. Like we can respond and we can initiate, but like think of that like someone who's like cutting edge, innovative, like moving society forward. That's a manifester.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. And then the fourth type is called a projector. And this is kind of like, and you probably know projectors in your life, you just don't know that they are, but this is the person who's like a really wise guide in like one area. Like they've got one thing that they're like really good at, whether it's art or, something in corporate, whatever it is, they're like really good at it, but they can trigger people. So like if they're like, hey, I have an opinion to share, I'm going to share all this knowledge, they can like trigger people because they're not ready to hear all the wisdom. So their strategy is literally to like wait to be invited. So it would be like, Amanda, what do you think about this? That would be like your invitation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me think of
Yeah.
Geminis for some reason. Immediately makes me think of
Mm-hmm.
Geminis.
Sure.
And it makes me
Yeah.
think of like all my ex-boyfriends that were all like musicians. Like I tend to date people that are like
Interesting.
that are like really good at one thing
Okay.
and just like do it all the time.
Do you have their birth info? Let's look them up.
Um, shoot, I'm trying to think. Hopefully they're
You can
not
think about it, but that could be interesting too.
to see if they're a projector.
Well, if they are, we're gonna uncover them.
Oh man, okay. Oh my god, I would feel
You'll
really
have
bad
to
if
think
they're
about it.
watching. They're probably not watching.
It's a good thing. It's good to know. Yeah, it's all good.
Because I'm guessing that they're a projector, so let's see if they actually are. I don't.
Yeah, and we can do it offline too. You can like send me their stuff if you want.
Okay.
Or you can just text it to me and we'll give it live to the audience. Whatever you want.
No, we'll do it another time.
We'll do it another time. But it
Maybe
could
I
be
should.
cool. Like the only thing there is like, yeah, go ahead.
I bet chat was on the edge of their seat right there. They're like, she gotta do it. She gotta say the birth
Are
info.
we gonna know? We need to know. I love it. Well, it could be fun to see like, do you pick or do you gravitate towards like one certain type, right? Like that could just be interesting to know.
I definitely used to. I definitely used to. Th-
Yeah,
it's
for
weird.
sure.
Yeah, like pretty much everyone I've dated has had like an obsession with their hobby, but also was their career though, which is
Interesting.
so weird. Anyways,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm getting caught up on projectors. What's the next one?
I love it. No, it's good to know. So the last type, and projectors are like 20% of the population. So it's not like a big chunk of us that are projectors.
Well, it makes sense because if I'm a responder, I'm responding to
Mm-hmm.
their projecting,
Yeah,
like, right? So that like enables me to do what I do. Hmm.
100%. Yep, 100%. And we need a lot of generators who are doing like the way that this world is going to change. Like, I know this sounds weird, but if all generators were doing what they loved, like this world would be a completely different place. It would be so
I
different.
know.
But because we have generators who are living in this like old paradigm or who are doing
Yeah.
things that they hate, like here we are. We're learning, we're healing, we're
Oh,
growing, but it's going to take some time.
that's so sad. How much of the
Yeah.
population are generators?
So people sometimes classify man gens and generators together, and so that combined total is about like 70%. So probably like I
Wow.
don't know, 40% generator and 30% man gen or so. But these stats change, but that's about average.
Wow. Oh my gosh. All right. Bye, El
Mhm.
Protector. Thanks for coming. See you soon. Sorry, just responding to someone
No,
leaving.
you're fine.
Okay,
You're
wow.
fine.
So we're
I love it.
70% of the population. What about innovators? How are they like 5%?
Manifestor, is that
Oh,
the one you're talking
manifestors.
about?
Yeah, sorry.
Manifestor. So they're like nine, people always say 9%. Manifestors are 9%, projectors are like 20, and then the last type, reflector, is about 1%. They're very rare. But it's interesting. So like when we were all like in like caveman, cavewoman times, like most of us were reflectors, but over time, like we have gravitated towards different like configurations of all this. So it's really interesting if you look at like the historical evolution of human design.
Wow. How do we even know that? But also, what are
Yeah.
reflectors? I need to know what a reflector is first.
I mean, look, do we know any of this? I don't know. You have to like, learn about it, but don't like make it your whole life,
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting skill, but like, do I know in caveman times were we all reflectors? I don't know. It's just stuff that, you can look up, but I think it's interesting to think about.
Yeah. Oh, totally. So wait, tell me about reflectors. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Okay. So reflectors are really cool. And you probably like once you meet one, you'll be like, oh, this makes sense. So reflectors basically are like a mirror to everybody. So when they're with you, they like reflect back to you who you are, what you do. Like they would be really good at consulting or like kind of helping people solve problems because they like reflect back and like reflect the truth.
Hmm. They reflect
Mm-hmm.
the truth. So,
Mm-hmm.
hmm. are there any famous reflector examples that I can think about?
Okay, I'm pretty sure this sounds weird, but I'm pretty sure Sandra Bullock is a reflector. I'm pretty sure that she is. I could look it up too. Like, I'm pretty sure that she is as an actress.
Famous reflectors. Here
Here,
we go.
yeah, look it up.
Sandra Bullock.
Hmm.
Celebrity reflector.
I only know like a few famous people.
Sandra Bullock. I don't know any of these other people.
Yeah, I don't know.
What
But
the
there are a lot of like people will do like celebrity unpacks and stuff, which is always fun.
being a reflectors? Okay, I am intrigued by this. I want to know more about reflectors.
Yeah.
Have you ever read one? Have you ever done
Yeah.
one? What was it like?
Oh, yeah. No, I've had clients who are reflectors. So think of it this way, like their strategy in the world is to like, think of it like, those old like water wheels or like the water wells where they like spin and the water like drips off of them and it just
Yeah,
goes around in a circle.
like a turbine.
Okay, I know that's like a weird analogy. Yeah, so think of a reflector as like you're supposed to move through life and just like let everyone like roll off of you. Like don't attach yourself. Like they're not meant to know their identity or who they are in this world. Like how Western society is always like, who are you? Like figure out who you are. Like that's really detrimental to a reflector because they're meant to kind of like sample everyone's aura and be surprised and delighted through life.
Whoa, I would hate that.
Mm-hmm. It's no, it's powerful when you can step into it, but it can be really stressful to realize like, I'm not supposed to like attach to anything and I need to like let it all roll off. Because the other thing too is like their not self-theme is like disappointment because they have such expectations of people because they're like, I know this is what truth is. So like, why isn't everyone being truthful or like why isn't everyone living in this aligned way? So they get really disappointed when they have like previous judgments of someone. And the other like wild thing, this like blew my mind about reflectors, they have to wait one full lunar cycle to make a decision. Isn't that wild?
What? Oh my, that's my
Yeah.
nightmare. That is my nightmare.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, and this is what happens. So, like, all of your different parts of the chart, like, as you go through a cycle, they're all activated. So, they basically are like testing out which one feels the best in the entire lunar cycle.
That is wild.
It's wild, right? Yeah, it's wild. But I will say, like, working with reflectors, they're like, this feels awesome to me. And I'm like, that's great. You go do that for a month. I got to make decisions right now. But people do like it, it helps them.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm like genuinely so curious what everyone I know is.
You're gonna want to like I went through like an unpack like party. I was like I gotta like figure out all my friends and like you should just like unpack them. I'll show
Yeah, I
you
mean, I
how to
guess
do
if
it. You
I
can like
just
link
know
the
their
website.
birth chart info, I can just do it
Yeah.
myself. I just want to find a
Yeah,
reflector
and here's the
and
thing.
be like, what is it like?
Yeah. I love it. I mean, if you really want to talk to one, I can like call up a previous client. You can totally talk to someone.
What is it
They're
like to be
amazing.
you? That one's definitely the
Who
furthest
are you?
from me, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
All the
then,
types are very different, but we need all the types?
yeah. I mean, it all totally makes sense and resonates. Like I really um feel this idea of these are the things that I can do to live the most fully in alignment.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. And it is
Totally.
validating to
Yeah.
hear like these are the simple things you could do to make your life a little bit less painful, you know?
Hmm. And the cool thing is, like, I just did like the very basics for you. Like human design goes into like what environment you work best in, what your like life purpose is, what foods you should be eating. Like there's so many levels to this, like depending on how deep you ever want to go. They can really just like give you new strategies or ways. Like it's like wild the things that it goes into, but it's all there in the chart.
Do you know what food I should be eating?
So I have to like look at it in this. It's so weird. Like the softwares that you have to use are like so
No, it's
old and
fine.
like they're so strange. But I have to like look at them.
It's
I
okay.
have to like put you through the system and like punch out your numbers and like get all the like decoding of it. But I could find out for you if you're interested. It's pretty like some people are meant to like drink more liquid, some people eat hot foods. My like digestion is like I need to alternate. So I need to like alternate between the foods that I eat and not just like eat a bowl of mush. I have to like have like variety almost.
I would be
Yeah.
curious to know. The food thing would be interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, this has just been so fascinating. I am
I'm
I
so glad.
thank you so much. Chat,
Yeah.
have any questions? Now is your moment to ask them.
I love it.
Are there
I
any
love
other
it. You can
tidbits?
always.
Oh no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say if people have questions later, they can just message you and you can pass them along. Like
Yes.
no pressure to ask right now.
If you would like a reading from Emma, hit me up.
Yeah, come my way. I love it.
Yes.
I'm happy to do it.
Hell yes. Are there any last
Amazing.
tidbits of info you want to share before we log off?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing to know is one, like human design aside, like this is just another tool to help you be you, right? To like really step into what makes you unique and to validate that it's okay if you're doing things and they may look different from someone else, right? Like you just do you, and that's when your world is going to open up. So maybe I'll close on that. That feels like a good closing note.
I love that. Yay. Oh, my mom wants a reading. Wow. That would be awesome.
Yes, Belinda, let's do it. I love this for you. It'll be so fun. We can see what type you are. I love it.
Yes. Okay.
Amanda will connect us. This will be great.
Yes, I will. I
I love
will.
it.
Well, thank you so much, Emma. This has been enlightening. I'm stoked. I feel great.
Gosh, thanks for having me. This was so fun. Like, this was awesome. I'm so honored to be a guest on your show. This was so
Oh,
fun.
thank
And I hope
you.
everyone enjoyed it. Like, hopefully, it was, useful.
Yeah, everyone seemed to love it. People were being really engaged.
Amazing.
Thank you all for watching. You're the
Amazing.
best.
Thanks
All
for
right.
tuning in, guys.
Yes, thank you. I hope everyone has a great night, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.